Hi everyone, my name is Diego.
I'm Alexandra.
So today we're going to talk about a campaign of an awesome organization called DoSomething.org, one of the biggest youth not-for-profit organizations, which I am a huge fan of.
So this campaign is called We Are Able, and it's basically like a challenge, kind of like an ice bucket challenge, I would say. Yeah, it's a good comparison. They are stating that the problem is that students with disabilities are 2 to 3 times more likely to be bullied by their non-disabled peers.
Which is true. It's a huge problem.
Yes, definitely. As a solution, they say that they should stop bullying by eliminating the stigma that surrounds people with disabilities. An easy and quick way to do it was for them to kind of like print out a template that says, my best ability is, and then you fill out your best ability. This is kind of going around on Instagram and like Twitter with the hashtag We Are Able.
The poster is very problematic because it says, focus on the ability, not the disability. So, inevitably it's saying that having a disability is something negative, and you should focus on the ability rather than the disability, therefore implying that a disability is something negative. And the problem is that a lot of people like me, we can't take our disability away.
Yeah.
Our disability is something innately within us. There's a lot of internalized ableism. Do something doesn't only work with disabled people.
Right.
So how do we make this conversation general and not just for disabled people?
I think a lot of people have different meanings of disability. So you could literally ask people, what does disability mean to you?
I think that would be a really interesting idea. It could start a discussion on why a disability is so much of a social construct.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
What are the stereotypes that we build around disability?
Depending on what people say, you could literally see the stigma. That can be measurable data of what's actually going on.
By saying, what is a disability? Or how do you define a disability? What problem are you trying to solve?
I think that's when it comes a little shaky because it's more of kind of like an awareness as opposed to like change.
Which is funny because I was at a conference with the CEO of Do Something, and she made a point to say, at Do Something, we say we're allergic to awareness, right? Because they're all about do something.
Yeah.
I would argue this campaign, my ability isn't really doing anything. But I think it'd be really interesting to see how many people are actually learning about disability and frame this campaign around the fact that not enough people are learning about disability. Therefore, let's raise awareness on what do we think disability is. And I think your point on looking at what the answers are and looking at where the stereotypes are coming could be really powerful.
Yeah.
Could be really, really powerful.
Do you think that because people are not educated, that's where the bullying comes in?
Oh, yeah. The fascinating thing about disability is that the bullying a lot of times comes internally. You have conflicting feelings about your disability because you grow up not seeing someone that has the same experiences as you. You grow up wanting to be like everyone else, trying to avoid your disability as much as you can, trying to fit in as much as you can. Most of the time my abilities are overshadowed by my disability, but I can use my disability to bring awareness to the issue, to, be a better advocate, embracing your disability, and how do you define your disability, and kind of why do we see disability as a problematic term.
Yeah. And I wonder, what have other disabled people, I'm sure they must have talked to other advocates.
They said they vetted the campaign with an organization on theater and disability, and they're all about putting the spotlight on the ability rather than the disability. It's a theater group. Look at how many people in their staff, on their board, on their volunteer list have disabilities.
That's a great point.
This is one of my biggest pet peeves. There's so many organizations that tackle disability issues that are led and managed by non-disabled people, and that's a huge problem. I think, for example, Do Something does a really good job of listening to the teen market, really empowering them and hearing what they have to say. And that's why they've been so successful. I would argue that more than 95% of disability organizations are not actually listening. No, but really, disclaimer, I love Do Something. It's one of my favorite not-for-profits. I just think that it's really important to have a discussion and to raise a profile. And to say, this is really not the most effective way to talk about disability.
Okay, so as a result, what do you think the hashtag of the week should be?
Oh my god, I think the hashtag of the week should be We Are Disabled.
We are disabled. Alright.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Bye.